Hello, in this lecture you will learn a bit about the Blazor syntax and how to use it in several different ways. So what we have here, we have a basic MVC model view controller project, just the basic template created and opened. And we will start by going into the views. So as you can see, you have controllers, models, and views. You might be familiar with this already, but we will start with the views, and we will go to the default, home, and then to the default index. And in the index we find this piece of code. We will delete all that. We don't need any of that. We will learn from scratch. So first of all, you can actually create comments in Blazor syntax. You can do that. You can also do comments in simple HTML commenting way or JavaScript commenting way. All of them work well. However, the Blazor syntax should be more appropriate here. And to use that, you simply write @, then you write asterisk, just like that, and as you can see, it gets auto-completed. So let's say test comment, and we have the comment ready. So just like that, you create your comments. Now it's not the interesting part. Let's get to the interesting part now. So first of all, you can do two different things with Blazor syntax, in general at least. You can either create this encapsulation of the Blazor code, of a C# code, or you can use a simple variable, just like that. You write @, or you use @ and then curly braces, curly brackets, whichever word you prefer. And here you could put in all kinds of C# statements. You can declare variables and do all that. So this works in the same way as you would have an if statement, as you would have a while loop or a method. So now that we have that, we will do this one very important thing. Blazor can have a layout page, and by default here we do actually have a layout page. If we would go to the shared, you would find all that there. You would find a layout.cshtml. But we won't go and look there. It doesn't really matter. What we need to do, we need to set the layout to null. And to do that, you simply write layout equals null. Just like that. And as you can see, IntelliSense works perfectly in the Blazor syntax as well. Now let's move on. And let's create a simple variable. So we will create a variable in our program.cs. You could do that in any other place, in any other class. You can create a static variable, and you can then display it directly in the HTML. So let's try that. Let's do public static string test. Let's call it equals tst. So now we have the static string in the program class. And to access it, let's go to index.cshtml. And we have this @ sign. So let's write program, just like that, as you can see. And then let's access the test. So we have that. Now we don't want that to just lay around in a plain sight like that. Let's put it in a paragraph, just like that. Let's cut it out and let's put it in a paragraph. So now you have that variable created in the program.cs, and then you'll access it in the index. Let's try to actually launch this. and build this. So what you can do with this, there are several different things, and there are actually many different things you can do with it. First of all, you can actually use environment variables. You can actually declare a version of your system. You can do all that with a simple approach. So you just create it and you place it in your HTML code just like that. No need to download with JavaScript, no need to do anything. And as you can see, it gets displayed just like that. Just as if you would write an actual word in that paragraph. So next, let's turn that off. Let's stop the debug. And now let's try to do something a bit more interesting. Let's try to do a little if statement. So again, let's expand that Blazor syntax placement. And let's do simple if. Just like that. And let's test for the length of our test variable. Do length equals, and if it's free, let's say b length is free, just like that. Very simple. And let's do a simple else. We won't see that, but let's just try that in any case. Let's copy that and let's put word not in here. So we would get length is not free. So as you can see, you have some C# code here, and then you can start writing right away your HTML code. It's just that easy. And that's why Blazor syntax is called Blazor syntax, because it is like a razor. It cuts into that whole thing, and then HTML can cut into the C# as well. It's very useful, very easy to use as well. Now we can launch that. And after this, we will take a look at another thing, at creating an element, HTML element using C# Blazor syntax. So as you can see, we have our first variable here, and we also have from our if statement, length is free, and it is in fact free. So let's close that. And let's try our last thing. Let's do paragraph, simple paragraph, and let's insert an element. So in this case, let's try to do text area. Let's do HTML. As you can see, you access HTML if you want your elements. And then let's look for text area. As you can also see, you have text area 4, and then you have display text 4. So as far as 4 is concerned, we will look into that in the form lectures, in the form section. So let's do text area. This is gonna be a very simple element, and first of all you declare something called expression. As you can see, string expression. Now expression is that basic simple ID for your element. So let's do, say, test ID, and we will turn on developer tools and we will take a look that it is in fact an ID. And then you need to, or you don't need to, you don't have to actually write in a value, but let's do that. Let's do test, and then you can have HTML attributes. So these are all other attributes that the element may contain. Now in this case we will take a look at the class. The class is a bit more interesting. You need to do new, and just like that, you don't need an integer here. For some reason it creates that automatically. So we have new, and then we will write class, but you will see what happens if I write class. So you see, class is also a class in the C#, as you probably know. So to actually access the class as an attribute for this element, you need to write an @ sign in front of the class. This is what you usually do, then you have conflicting names. So here now we'll do equals, and we will leave that blank. Let's create a little class. So what you need to do now, you simply create a style tag here, like that. We have the style, and then let's call it test style class, just like that. And let's put in something very visible. Let's do width, let's say 400 px, and then let's try to do background color, just so that you can clearly see all that. So let's do something like let's say red color, just like that. We will have our red color, and we will have 400 pixel width, so we will clearly see that it does in fact work. So let's copy that and let's paste it right here in here. And so we have our element declared. Now you don't really have to do this. It doesn't really make much sense to do that. It might be easier to view the code, but normally what you have here would be in fact used as any normal HTML element, so there's really not much point in creating it like that. Now let's launch that. Let's launch that and see again how it works. We will see all other inputs as well. It's going to be very simple, but you will see that all clearly. So we have in fact our red text area with some text saying test, and that is what we have inserted. So now just to recap, we have our comments, so that's @ and asterisk. Normal code, let's take a look at this one. Normal code of C# with cut-ins of HTML, you do @ and curly bracket, just like that, just if you would do an if statement. And then if you want a variable, you simply write @ and then you go to your variable. And with the element, you go to HTML and you can pick many different elements, and always look for the name of the actual element. The for is for a different reason, and we will look at that later. So with that, we will conclude this lecture.